Welcome to Almost Alone. I'm your host, and tonight we're exploring something that sits at the intersection of chance and intent. The moments where danger didn't announce itself with a weapon or a threat. It just asked a question, offered help, or seemed like nothing at all. This episode is called Almost Taken, and it features two stories from people who came very close to being abducted. One was a child who didn't yet understand what was happening. The other was an adult who understood too late. Both of them survived because of timing, visibility, luck, not skill, not preparation, just the right person seeing the right thing at the right moment. Before we begin, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been listening for a while, I appreciate you. Either way, if these stories resonate with you, consider subscribing. It helps more people find the channel. And if you want to support the work I do here, you can hit the like button or leave a comment sharing your own experience, if you're comfortable doing so. These stories are told calmly, but they're not light. They're real, and they linger. Let's begin. I'm 31 now. The thing I'm about to tell you happened when I was 12, which means it's been nearly 2 decades since that afternoon. I've had a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to understand things I didn't understand then. When you're 12, you don't yet have the language for certain kinds of discomfort. You don't know how to name the feeling when something is wrong, but not obviously wrong. You just know that being polite matters, that helping people is good, that saying no to an adult feels rude, even when you can't explain why you want to. I didn't think about any of that at the time. It was a Saturday in late summer, one of those forgettable days where nothing special was planned. I'd ridden my bike to the pharmacy a few blocks from my house to pick up something for my mom, probably sunscreen or batteries, I don't remember. The errand itself wasn't important. It was just routine. The kind of thing a 12-year-old does without thinking twice. The parking lot was nearly empty when I came back outside. My bike was locked to the rack near the entrance. I remember the heat coming off the pavement, the way my sneakers felt sticky on the asphalt. It was quiet, not unusual for mid-afternoon on a weekend. That's when he approached me. Nothing about it stood out at the time. That's what still bothers me. He was just a man, maybe late 30s, early 40s. Jeans, a plain t-shirt, nothing memorable. He wasn't tall or short, loud or quiet. If I passed him on the street today, I wouldn't recognize him. He walked up while I was unlocking my bike and said, "Hey, sorry to bother you." I looked up. He had his hands in his pockets. His expression was apologetic, almost embarrassed. "I'm trying to find my dog," he said. "He got out of the yard about an hour ago. I've been driving around looking for him, but I'm not from this neighborhood. Do you live around here?" I said yes. He smiled, relieved, not threatening. "Okay, good. He's a black lab, pretty big. His name is Scout. Have you seen a dog like that running around?" I hadn't. I told him so. He nodded, still looking worried. "All right. Well, do you think you could help me look for a few minutes? I'm really worried about him. He's not good with cars." And here's the thing. I wanted to help. Not because I was naive or stupid, because I was 12 and I'd been taught that helping people was the right thing to do, especially when someone seemed genuinely upset, especially when they were polite about asking. So I said, okay. I didn't think about it. I just said yes. He thanked me, told me his name was Rick, asked what my name was. I told him. Looking back, I can see how carefully he built it, how he asked questions that seemed harmless but weren't. "Do you have a dog? What school do you go to? Do you live close, or are your parents picking you up?" At the time, none of it felt invasive. He was just making conversation while we walked. I answered without hesitation, because I didn't yet understand that some questions aren't about getting to know you. They're about learning how much time someone has. We walked toward the side of the building, past the dumpsters, toward a small access road that led behind the shopping center. He said his car was parked back there, that he wanted to grab a leash in case we found Scout. I followed. We'd walked maybe 50 yards, far enough that I couldn't see the front entrance anymore, far enough that the parking lot felt distant. There's something I need you to understand. This wasn't a dark alley. It was broad daylight. I wasn't being dragged or threatened. I was walking next to someone who seemed like a concerned pet owner, and I was trying to be helpful. That's how it works. It doesn't look like danger. It looks like a reasonable person asking for a reasonable thing. We turned the corner, and I saw his car. It was parked at the far end of the access road, away from the main lot. A dark-colored sedan. Nothing unusual about it, but something felt wrong. Not wrong in a way I could articulate. Just off. He walked ahead of me toward the car, then turned and gestured for me to follow. Come on, the leash is in the trunk. I stopped. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the way he said it, not asking anymore, just assuming I would. Or maybe it was the fact that we'd walked so far from the front of the store, and I suddenly realized I couldn't see anyone else. I heard a car door slam somewhere behind me. Someone loading groceries or leaving the store, I thought. I didn't think much of it then. I should probably head back, I said. His expression didn't change, but his tone did. It'll just take a second. Not angry, not loud, just firm. I took a step back, and that's when I saw it. He took a half step to his left. Not dramatic, just a small adjustment, but it put him directly between me and the path back to the parking lot. And his hands came out of his pockets. My stomach dropped. I really need to go, I said. He didn't move. For a moment, maybe 3 seconds, maybe less, we just stood there, him looking at me looking at him, and I saw it, the shift. It wasn't dramatic. He didn't lunge at me or raise his voice. He just stopped pretending. The concern was gone. The politeness was gone. What was left was something flat and calculating, like he was deciding something. That was the moment he stopped asking and started steering. Then I heard a voice. Everything okay? A woman's voice, coming from the direction of the parking lot. I turned and saw her. The person I'd heard loading groceries earlier, a middle-aged woman carrying a shopping bag. She was walking toward us, not running, not yelling, just walking. But she was there, visible. Everything okay? She called out again, looking between us. I didn't answer. I just moved. I walked past him fast, back toward the main lot. My legs felt shaky. My heart was pounding. I kept expecting him to follow, to grab me, to say something, but he didn't. When I glanced back, he was still standing by his car, watching me, not chasing, not calling after me, just watching. The woman asked if I was all right. I said yes. She looked past me at him, then back at me, and I could tell she didn't believe me. But she didn't push. I unlocked my bike and rode home. I didn't tell anyone, not that day, not for years, because I didn't know what to say. Nothing had happened. He didn't grab me. He didn't hurt me. He just asked me to help find his dog. And I couldn't shake the feeling that if I told someone, they'd say I was overreacting. It took me a long time to understand what actually happened that day. There was no dog. I know that now. There was no Scout, no lost pet, no genuine concern. It was a script, and I'd followed it. When I think about it now, I can see how practiced it was, how he positioned himself, how he asked questions designed to isolate me without making it obvious, how he walked me away from witnesses, step by step, until we were alone. And I went willingly. That's the part that still makes me feel sick. Not because I was stupid, but because I was exactly what he needed me to be: polite, helpful, and young enough to not see it coming. I think about that moment when he stood by his car, looking at me. The moment he stopped pretending. He didn't follow me because he didn't need to. He already knew whether it would work. And that day, it didn't. But I don't think I'm the first kid he asked. And I don't think I was the last. I never saw him again. I don't know if he stayed in the area or moved on. I don't know if anyone reported him or if he was ever caught for something else. There's no closure, no confirmation. Just the knowledge that I came very close to something I still don't fully want to imagine. I didn't escape danger. I escaped intention. I'm 24 now. This happened 3 months ago, which means it's still close. Still raw in a way I'm not sure will ever fully fade. People ask me if I've thought about therapy. I have. I've been twice. Both times, I ended up talking around it instead of through it, because the moment I start explaining what happened, I can feel my throat close up. So I'm going to try saying it out loud now, slowly, the way I remember it. It was a Thursday night in October. Nothing special. I'd gone out with coworkers after our shift, just drinks and appetizers at a place downtown. I wasn't drunk. Maybe 2 drinks over 3 hours. I felt fine. Around 9:30, I said my goodbyes and ordered a ride share. I do that all the time. Did, I mean. Past tense. The app said 4 minutes. I stood outside the bar with a few other people waiting for their rides, scrolling through Instagram, half paying attention. When the notification popped up that my car had arrived, I checked the license plate and the driver photo like I always do. Gray Honda Civic. Plate matched. Driver photo showed a man, maybe mid-30s, generic face. I got in the back seat. "Headed to Maple Street?" he asked. I said yes. He pulled away from the curb, and I went back to my phone. I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just tired. It had been a long week, and I wanted to get home, change into sweatpants, and do nothing. For the first few minutes, the ride was normal. Completely, unremarkably normal. That's the thing I keep coming back to. There was no warning, no red flag I missed. No moment where I thought, something's off. It was just a regular ride, until it wasn't. I noticed the turn about 5 minutes in. We were supposed to stay on the main road. I knew the route. I'd taken it dozens of times. But he turned left onto a side street I didn't recognize. I looked up from my phone. "Excuse me," I said, keeping my tone polite. "I think you missed the turn." "Nah," he said. "Construction up ahead. This way's faster." I opened the app to check the route. The map showed us going the wrong direction. Not slightly off, completely wrong. We were heading away from my apartment, toward the industrial part of town. The app says, "I know where I'm going." His tone was different now. Flat, final. I felt the first flicker of unease. "Can you just follow the route on the app?" I said, trying to sound firm but not confrontational. "I'd feel better if—" "Put the phone down." I froze. "What?" "Put it down." He was looking at me in the rearview mirror now, not glancing, staring. My hand tightened around my phone. I opened my messages, started typing a text to my roommate, just her name, just to have the conversation ready. I said, "Put it down." He reached back with one hand while he was still driving, fast, grabbing for my phone. I yanked it away, pressing myself against the door. "Don't touch me." The car swerved, hard. We crossed into the other lane. I heard a horn blast from somewhere behind us. He was twisting in his seat, still reaching back with one hand while trying to keep control of the wheel with the other. The car jerked left, then right. "Give me the phone." I held it against my chest, trying to pull away, but there was nowhere to go. He grabbed my wrist and wrenched the phone out of my hand. The car swerved again. He threw my phone into the front passenger seat, breathing hard, and straightened the wheel. For a few seconds, neither of us said anything. My heart was hammering. My wrist throbbed where he'd grabbed it. Then I reached for the door handle and pulled. It didn't open. I pulled again, harder. Nothing. "Child locks," he said. His voice was calm now, almost bored. That's when I understood. I wasn't getting out. I don't know how long we drove after that. It felt like hours, but when I think back on it now, it was probably 15 minutes, maybe 20. Time didn't work right. Some moments stretched forever. Some disappeared completely. I tried everything I could think of. I screamed, pounded on the window, tried to roll it down. The controls were disabled. At one stoplight, I banged on the glass and made eye contact with a woman in the car next to us. I mouthed help. She looked away. Maybe she didn't see clearly through the tinted window. Maybe she thought I was just drunk and dramatic. Maybe she did see and was too scared to get involved. I'll never know. But she looked away and we kept driving. I thought about trying to reach through the gap between the seats and grab my phone from the front. But he was watching me in the mirror, waiting for me to try. I couldn't risk him pulling over again. I begged him to let me out. I told him I wouldn't say anything. I promised I'd give him money. I said my roommate was waiting for me, that people knew where I was. He didn't respond, didn't even look at me. That silence was worse than anything he could have said. I tried to think, tried to stay calm, but my brain kept skipping, looping back to the same terrified thought. Where is he taking me? We were in an area I didn't recognize now. Lots of warehouses, empty streets, dim lighting, no cars, no people. I felt my chest tighten. I couldn't breathe right. Everything felt too small, too hot, too fast. I pressed my face against the window and tried to see street signs, landmarks, anything I could use to orient myself, but everything looked the same. And then I saw headlights behind us, close, flashing blue, a police car, following us. The driver saw it too. I watched his eyes flick to the rearview mirror. His jaw tightened. He didn't speed up, didn't try to run. He just kept driving like he was deciding what to do. The lights stayed on. The cop didn't pull off. I started pounding on the window again, screaming, making as much noise as I could. The siren chirped once. The driver swore under his breath. Then he pulled over. I didn't stop screaming. I was pounding on the window, on the seat, anything I could reach. The officer approached the driver's side window, flashlight in hand. The driver rolled down his window, calm, composed. "Evening, officer. Something wrong?" The cop shone his light into the back seat. I was pressed against the door, crying, barely able to form words. "He won't let me out," I choked out. "This isn't my ride." He took my phone. "Please, please help me." The officer's expression changed immediately. "Step out of the vehicle, now." "Officer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Step out of the vehicle." The driver hesitated. Then he opened the door and got out. The moment he did, the officer opened my door from the outside. I practically fell out of the car. I don't remember much of what happened next. It's all fragmented. Flashing lights, radio chatter. The officer asking me questions I couldn't answer coherently. Another police car arriving. They arrested him on the spot. I sat in the back of the patrol car, not under arrest, just somewhere safe, while they processed everything. The officer who pulled us over stayed with me, asked if I was hurt, if I needed an ambulance. I said no. I wasn't hurt, not physically. They drove me home. I gave a statement that night, did a formal interview 2 days later. A detective called me about a week after that. He told me they'd searched the car. He asked if I wanted to know what they found. I said yes. Zip ties in the trunk, duct tape, a knife. He told me the details carefully, watching my reaction. I didn't need the details, I already knew. He also told me I wasn't the first woman he'd done this to. 3 others had reported similar incidents over the past 6 months. None of them had gotten as far as I did. They'd all managed to get out earlier, at stoplights, by causing a scene, by forcing him to let them go. I was the first one he didn't let out. The detective said I was brave, that my fighting back probably saved my life. I didn't feel brave, I felt lucky. Lucky that I made enough noise during the phone struggle, that the car swerved. Lucky that a cop happened to be driving behind us. Lucky that he decided to follow instead of letting it go. That's it. That's the only reason I'm okay. If we'd been on a different street, if that officer hadn't been there, if I'd been too scared to scream, I don't let myself finish that thought, but it's always there. I deleted the rideshare apps, all of them. I take the bus now, or I walk, or I ask someone I know to pick me up. People tell me that's extreme, that I can't let one bad experience control my life, but they didn't sit in that back seat. They didn't feel what it's like to pull on a door handle that won't open, to scream and have no one help, to watch streetlights pass by and know you're running out of time. They didn't sit there and realize that survival wasn't about being smart or strong or prepared. It was about a police car being in the right place at the right time. That's it. That's all that saved me. And I think about that every single day. Because if I hadn't fought for that phone, if the car hadn't swerved, if that cop hadn't been watching, I don't know where I'd be right now. I just know I wouldn't be here. That's the end of tonight's episode. 2 people, 2 close calls. Both of them survived because someone saw something, or because timing worked in their favor. Not because they did everything right. Not because they were stronger or smarter than the people who didn't make it out. Just because the circumstances aligned. That's the uncomfortable truth about these stories. Survival often comes down to luck, visibility, being in the right place when the wrong thing is happening. If tonight's episode resonated with you, I'd appreciate it if you'd take a moment to like the video or leave a comment. If you have your own story you'd like to share, you can submit it through the link in the description. And if you haven't already, subscribe. There's more to come. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.